Hey guys, I'm Sagar, and this is my full review of the OnePlus 2. About 1.5 years ago, a startup called OnePlus launched its first smartphone, the OnePlus One. They manufactured the phone in small quantities, and you had to get a special invite in order to purchase this smartphone. OnePlus One had many more features than those found in the Android flagships back then. What made the OnePlus One special is that it was available at half the price of the flagship smartphones at that time. It was a true flagship killer. This was one of the best Android smartphones, but to own it you had to wait for an invite, which took so long that many people I knew gave up the wait and went with some other smartphone which was readily available. It's 2015 and OnePlus is back with their second smartphone, the OnePlus 2. In just 1.5 years, OnePlus was able to create enough noise in the smartphone industry that the OnePlus 2 was one of the most anticipated smartphones of 2015. One would think that OnePlus might have anticipated the demand for its new smartphone and manufactured the OnePlus 2 in enough quantities so everyone who wants can purchase it as soon as it launches. But that is not the case. Again, OnePlus took the invite route. You could register to get an invite and also participate in their social media contests and forums to get your invite ahead of others. But again, waiting for an invite so that you can buy the phone is a tiring process. I have been very fortunate to get the invite within just a few days of the launch of OnePlus 2. I just hope that OnePlus could manufacture enough devices so the invite system comes to an end really soon. I know it's almost been close to 2 minutes in the video and I am still talking about the invite system instead of the actual review of the phone. But I think this is just as important, because going through the invite system is one of the important part of purchasing the OnePlus 2, at least in the beginning. Now let's get to the actual review of the OnePlus 2. I will not talk about the full phone specifications as I have covered them in the unboxing and overview video which I had posted a couple of weeks back. If you want to check it out, I will leave a link to it in the description section and also an annotation on the screen. The build quality of the OnePlus 2 is very good. With the metal band running around the device, it feels a lot more premium than the OnePlus One. Being a large device, it feels a bit heavy to hold in one hand. But I think a smartphone with 5.5 inch is too big to be managed with one hand. So you end up holding it with both your hands and then it does not seem that heavy. The sandstone texture on the back is a bit more rough compared to the OnePlus One. But just using the phone for a few days made me realize that this texture is a lot more durable and does not scratch easy, which is a good thing. I like the alert slider on this phone because it is very convenient to put your mobile on silent mode even without looking at it. I use this feature a lot on my iPhone, and it is good to own an Android device which could do the same. The power button is placed below the volume buttons where my fingers can easily reach, no matter which hand I am holding the phone in. But with the gestures like double tap to wake the display and the ability to lock and unlock the phone from the capacitive buttons, I find myself rarely using the power button. So I think it would have made more sense to place the volume buttons where the power button is, as I am more likely to reach for the volume buttons instead of the power button. The bottom firing speaker on this phone is not that great. Just like with most of the smartphones with bottom facing speakers, it gets very easily covered with your fingers while playing games. And while watching video, you have to make various adjustments to get the sound just right. USB Type-C charging is one of the major points on which OnePlus stressed while marketing this phone. Clearly, USB-C is going to be the standard on all smartphones in some time. So OnePlus decided to future-proof their smartphone. This might be the step in right direction, but right now the USB-C accessories are expensive and it is very annoying to carry around the included USB-C cable with me if I had to charge the phone on the go. Another major feature marketed by OnePlus is the fingerprint scanner. This fingerprint scanner is placed right under the home button, like on the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus or the Samsung Galaxy S6. But unlike the home button on those devices, you cannot press this button. It is just a capacitive home button. The fingerprint sensor on the OnePlus 2 is very fast and accurate. You just have to place your finger on the sensor and the phone is unlocked. In my 2 weeks of testing the phone, I only had 3 occasions where the sensor failed to read my fingerprint. Many people are disappointed with the display on the OnePlus 2, because it's a 5.5-inch Full HD IPS display and not a Quad HD display. The pixel density on the OnePlus 2 is 401 pixels per inch, and it is very difficult for human eye to differentiate between pixels beyond this point. Being an IPS panel, the viewing angles and the color reproduction of the OnePlus 2 is really good. This huge 5.5-inch screen is great for playing games and watching videos. I am happy with the 1080p screen because the battery lasts a bit longer and the processor does not need to push too many pixels around. OnePlus went with the 64-bit octa-core Snapdragon 810 processor for their new smartphone. The Snapdragon 810 processor had a tendency to overheat, but according to Qualcomm and OnePlus, this is supposed to be the improved version 2 of the Snapdragon 810 processor with less of that overheating problem. To test this issue, I tested the phone with some graphics intensive games like Real Racing 3 and Asphalt 8. After playing both these games for about 15 minutes each, I found out that the OnePlus 2 gets pretty hot towards the top portion around the camera module and the metal band. It is not burning hot, but it definitely makes it a bit uncomfortable to hold the phone. I think OnePlus could have got rid of this issue if they would have went with the Snapdragon 808 processor like LG did with the G4. The 4GB RAM means you can multitask with as many apps as you want and they will still be running smoothly. There is no microSD card expansion slot for the memory, but the 64GB of built-in storage should be enough for most of the users. A 16GB variant of the OnePlus 2 with 3GB of RAM will be available later this year. But I think if you want to go for that variant just because it costs a bit less, then you should go for the last year's 64GB OnePlus 1. Cause it is still a very good smartphone and will be available at even lower price by the time 16GB OnePlus 2 is launched. The camera on the OnePlus 2 might seem the same as that on the OnePlus 1, as both the phones have 13 megapixel sensors. But the OnePlus 2 has the better camera with optical image stabilization, laser autofocus, and large 1.3 micron size pixels, which is highest in any 13 megapixel camera. The camera has improved a lot over the last year. It can take some really sharp images with good color reproduction. The laser autofocus helps in better and fast focusing between the shots, and the optical image stabilization helps in much clearer images. You can shoot 4K videos with this phone, but it gets really hot after shooting these videos for a while, and also the memory runs out pretty fast while shooting in 4K. The optical image stabilization worked well for the images, but it was not good while recording videos. At times it was too aggressive, and sometimes it did not work at all. I think this is a software issue rather than a hardware one. This camera is capable of taking very good images and videos, but the camera app is just too slow. Sometimes it takes over 2 seconds just to take the shot. Again, I don't think this is a hardware problem and it has to do more with the software. I hope this can be fixed with a software update, and I would also love to see a manual shooting mode in this camera somewhere in the future. Speaking of the software, OnePlus 2 ships with the second version of the Oxygen OS, which gives you a near stock Android look and is built on Android Lollipop 5.1.1. Android on its own is very customizable, but the Oxygen OS takes the customization even further. You can add, remove or rearrange the toggles right from the drop-down menu. You can choose to have the on-screen navigation buttons or capacitive buttons where you can get more screen real estate. Not only that, you can also swap the recent and the back buttons depending on your liking. You can also assign various actions for long pressing or double tapping any capacitive buttons. I have set both the capacitive buttons to lock the screen on double tap. This way I don't have to reach for the power button to lock or unlock the device. Then you have various gestures where you can double tap the screen to wake up the device, draw a circle to open the camera, and draw a V to turn the flash on and off while the device is locked. You can also customize the color of notification LED to give you feedback of various things. Oxygen OS is somewhat new and it has quite a few bugs and lags here and there. OnePlus is working hard to get the things right on the software side. They also push regular software updates to improve things. I have had the phone for just over 2 weeks and I have received 2 software updates, which improved things like pinch to zoom, which some users had problem with, and battery life. We have a slight increase in battery capacity of the OnePlus 2 compared to the OnePlus 1. With my typical day, on an average, I managed to get 4 hours and 15 minutes of screen on time on this phone. And on the OnePlus 1, I used to get over 5 hours of screen on time at the end of the day. OnePlus 2 lacks the fast charging and wireless charging features. I personally don't use wireless charging a lot, but I definitely wish it had a fast charging feature. Because the 3300 mAh battery in this phone takes about 2 hours and 50 minutes to charge, which is just too long. The OnePlus 2 has a good camera, 4GB of RAM, Snapdragon 810 processor, good battery life, 64GB of internal storage, and all this at a price point of Rs 25,000. It is a flagship device in itself. But to keep the price of the device down, OnePlus had to cut some corners. So they decided not to include some features like higher resolution screen, front-facing speakers, wireless charging, fast charging, and NFC. It's a good smartphone at the given price, but it is definitely not the flagship killer OnePlus wanted it to be. Should you buy the OnePlus 2? Well, at this moment, that does not seem to be in your hands. All you can do is register for the invite and wait in line. It is even possible that maybe another better smartphone comes along while you are still waiting for your OnePlus 2 invite to come through. It is definitely a good smartphone if you are lucky enough to get an invite. But if you are too far behind in the reservation list, or if you are just now thinking about registering for the invite, then it's not worth the wait. Very soon, I'll be comparing the OnePlus 2 with the 3rd generation Moto G. It's going to be an interesting comparison. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss that video. That is it for this video, guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to share it with your friends and family. You can also check out some of the other videos on my channel. This is Sagar, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.